Hello and welcome back to the Survival Horror Guide, a show where we play and then review survival horror games. We rate them on their fear factor, and we give them an overall score. Finally, we send it over to the series' totally arbitrary rating system to see how it stacks up against the rest of the survival horror competition. You guys, it's almost Halloween, so finally, we are checking out one of the genre's heaviest hitters, one of the most classic survival horror games of all time, and that is Silent Hill 2. Which also just had its 20th anniversary, which is crazy. I don't have a ton of history with the Silent Hill series. I don't have a lot of nostalgia for it. It was never something I played when I was younger, not like Resident Evil, which I grew up with, which is why there's so much Resident Evil on the channel. All of my Silent Hill experiences really have come from the last few years, but it's been cool to experience so many of these games for the first time, something I'm sure a lot of people wish they could do. Last year, for instance, I played through the first game in the series completely blind, not knowing what to expect, and I freaking loved it. But coming into Silent Hill 2, it's a whole other beast. Because this game is so highly regarded, so many people consider it to be one of the best survival horror games ever, I feel like there's this expectation that I need to love it. And let me be clear, I finished the game and I really enjoyed it. But I feel my ranking by the end of this video may prove to be controversial for some. Let's just get into it. What is happening here, dude? The game starts off with the protagonist, James Sunderland, arriving at the town of Silent Hill after receiving a letter from his wife who's been dead for 3 years. It's a classic opening, the dank-ass bathroom, James looking at himself in the mirror, the parking lot overlooking Toluca Lake through all the fog. It's awesome. One thing this game absolutely nails, and why I think it's remained popular for so long, is artistically, it's a damn masterpiece. The art and visuals are insane for a 20-year-old game. Places look so gross, so run down. The camera, which can oftentimes be a pain, does set up some truly awesome shots that other games try to replicate to this day. It was one of the main points in my Silent Hill 1 video. This game's aesthetic is truly iconic. And as important as Silent Hill 1 was, it was 2 that really cemented the foundation for the tone the series would take moving forward. It's insane to think that these two games are just a couple of years apart. And when I say that this game is artistically a masterpiece, not only does that go for the visuals, it goes for the music, which is super iconic and fits the drab, dreary atmosphere perfectly. It goes for the enemy designs. The most famous enemy the series ever produced, Pyramid Head, is super terrifying. Ah! Excuse me? The game's art, all forms of it, it has perfect cohesion and creates an ambience and atmosphere that few games are able to replicate. Now, where the game starts to show its age is actually in its story. The story itself is great and super interesting, but it's the delivery which is clunky. It's very of its time. The voice acting and even the dialogue is stiff and super awkward.
I'm looking for someone.
Who is it?
Holy shit. What an exchange. But not like in a charming B-movie kind of way, but in a it's just not very good kind of way. I also feel like the game is a bit of a slow burn at the beginning. The first major location that you visit is an apartment complex, which in my opinion is the game's weakest area. It goes on for too long, and being in an apartment, every hallway, it's the same, everything looks the same, it's hard to navigate. And you need to clear every floor, try every door, most of which you can't enter, but then some you can, so you need to try them all, and then it's easy to miss items and such. It's just a bit of a slog. It's not a great first impression. The other major locations you visit, the hospital, the prison, the hotel, I found much more enjoyable. The game does have combat, but like most Silent Hill games, it's not the game's focal point. It's basic but serviceable. What's funny is when they tried to make it a bit more complex and add more enemies to the mix in Silent Hill for the room, it was way worse. It was awful. So having a more basic combat system here is welcome. Though I will say, it's shockingly easy. The whole game is super easy. I didn't die one time. Melee weapons were more than strong enough to clear most of the game, So being a stingy cheap ass and hoarding all of the ammo, which I tend to do, before long I was sitting on hundreds of rounds of ammunition, even for stronger guns like the shotgun. The final boss of the game I basically chased with a couple super strong melee attacks. It was ridiculous, but also admittedly satisfying. Oh my... It's also important to note that I was playing the PC version of the game with a collection of fan mods installed in a package called Silent Hill 2 Enhanced Edition, and I cannot recommend it enough. The team who put the mod together made it super easy to install. It was a great, stable version of the game with controller support that makes the game playable on modern systems. If you know the history of Silent Hill and the shit show that was the HD collection, then you might be aware that Konami lost the source code for Silent Hill 2 and 3, which is why the remasters were so damn bad. At this point, Konami should just give this team some money and release this version because it's fantastic and a ton of people would buy it. Huh! On the fear factor scale, this game was a 9. It's not a jump scare fest. It's not an in-your-face gore bonanza. It delivers its scares through atmosphere, via art and aesthetic, the visual and audio design, all of it to create a haunting, lonely, hopeless feeling. The game's story is disturbing and filled with mystery, and I had a good time just trying to unravel it all and understand what it all means. The game's narrative is not straightforward, and is full of symbolism that left me thinking about it for some time after. Overall, this game's also a 9. It starts slow, it's a bit uneven, most of the cutscenes and dialogue have not aged well.
How can you sit there and eat pizza?
The combat is simple and super easy, plus the camera can be a pain in the ass. But despite all of that, it's still great. The artistic vision of this game absolutely carries this thing, and in the world of horror, that plays a larger role, more so than just about any other genre. Now taking it over to the series' totally arbitrary rating system, this is where I expect it to be controversial, because look, I really liked Silent Hill 2, but for some reason, I liked the first game more. Silent Hill 2 is going to come in at the number 4 spot. I know, controversial take, but of course, let me know what you guys think. Have you guys played Silent Hill 2? Where would you rank it? How wrong am I for ranking it below Silent Hill 1? Please let me know in the comment section, and if there's any other games you'd like to see covered on the Survival Horror Guide in the future, please let me know. Thanks again for watching this one, guys. Peace.